Good morning, bacon
Morning, everybody.
ears.
Morning, hey.
Man, so that is our new intro that I made this week. So hopefully we don't get any copyright strikes. So
Make life a little easier on.
yeah, that was my
getting all the hate mail.
that was my first attempt at making music since post COVID. To be honest with you, so yeah, I figured out with the MIDI controller and some loops and stuff, I could still make some music. So can't play guitar, but
Hey.
you know what? We're showing it who's boss, right?
That's right. No, that's what we're about. Oh God,
Yeah,
our chat is going insane already.
it is.
Already.
Hey, I want everybody to grab something to drink this morning. Grab that share button. Share it, retweet it, hit the like, subscribe, invite a friend to join you this morning. We're going to have a good time, some fun conversation. Remember, this is everybody's favorite safe for work morning show. You can pop this on. You can pop this on while you're working, and the boss, if he hears it, will not fire you. I promise you that. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Depends on if they, if we talk about a comic subject
Our
that they
commentary
just don't like.
is
Yeah.
not subject to reality and cannot be held
Yeah.
accountable for anything.
Very, very true. Very true. Very, very true. So let's say hi to the folks in the chat. We've got Raging 2 in there. That's Nita in the chat, I believe.
Hi, Nita.
Hi, Nita.
I'm going to assume it's Nita.
Frog G, thank you, Frog G, for joining. Throwing those links out there already this morning. Everybody's favorite wrench. Tickle the algorithm, smash the like, dingle the bells, and subscribe. Smite thine like button today, if you will.
Slap it like it owes you money.
We got Joe Bachman there. Good morning, Joe.
Hey,
so good
Joe.
to have you today.
So glad to see Joe. He's been amazing for me this week. I've got stuff to talk about.
And of course, we got Brian K. Morris.
Hey,
Good
Brian.
morning, one and all.
Morning.
The heckling shall now commence, and by all means, it should definitely commence. Sin Killer, we've got Marv in the chat there. Greetings, sinners. I'll be listening to the show at work. Perfect for work, right? So thanks for joining us this morning. Who else we got? We got Dave from Genuine Comics. Greetings, Luke, Randy, Nick, and Hail Chat. Hail the chat, everybody. Remember, this is a hat group. Hopefully you have your jaunty hat on this morning. Be a lot of fun. Brian says the first minute of this show's ASMR intro leaves me in a state of food arousal. Doesn't it though?
Yeah.
Doesn't it though? I found out we've got some tomatoes and lettuce here in the house. So guess what? I'm missing one piece. Some bacon. And we're about to have BLTs today. That's going to happen. Brian says safe for work. That lets my show out. That lets his show out, yeah.
I figured he keeps saying that because of last night's Zimcast. Got a little out of hand.
It did get a little rowdy last night, didn't it?
Quite a bit rowdy, actually.
Yeah, quite a bit rowdy. It was so we took confession out. I'm joking, we didn't take confession. We got Aria Blackness in here. Hello, dude, what's up, man? Another great creator. Does some great stuff, so thanks for joining us today. Says like button slapped. Where's my money? You know what? Put it on my tab. Put it on my tab. And
in the words of Jack Burton, the check is in the mail.
Yes. So, it's another beautiful Thursday morning. This is our episode 5. So today, anybody that comments, in the if you're part of the comment today, I'm going to give away a copy of the Hybrids trade paperback for the Trash Day volume. So today, one of the people in our chat will get that. We'll after the show, 3 of us will pick somebody, and they will get, and I'll mail that to them, free of charge. They get it just for being active in the chat today. So
be active, say your piece, share this around. Hey, Facebook user.
What up, Luke? Not much is up. having a good time so far. I would encourage you to make sure that you give, because we can't see who you are, give permission to StreamYard, or head over to one of our YouTube channels. It's either on Luke Stone Studios YouTube, or on the Raging 2 Network YouTube. And then there you can be able to comment, and we'll be able to see your name and everything. But hopefully you're having a great morning. And they say pray you are well, brother. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. My voice still sounds rough. Zim, you said last night that you're cleared for driving, right?
I am, yes. Finally.
Nice. Awesome. Congratulations.
Congrats.
I keep trying to sneak behind the wheel, and my wife and daughter, they keep putting the kibosh on that for me.
Your
But-
Florida man is showing Luke.
I know, right? I'm like, come on. I want to do it. And I'm ready to drive, but yeah, the therapist isn't clearing me for that yet. In fact, I was just told I need to talk to my neurologist about getting diagnosed for, I think it's Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is like a nerve issue that can be brought on by viral infection. And guess what? COVID brings it on for some people. So, oops.
You hit every long symptom on the way.
I did. It's almost laughable at this point.
I mean,
you know?
if you weren't so pretty, I'd be worried, that you offended someone higher up.
I did.
But, you know, you're just so gosh darn pretty, nothing can stick.
I'm like a poster boy for everything that could go wrong, and yeah.
This is me. This is me on COVID.
Constantly reminded how lucky I am. Not
Yeah.
just to be alive, but to be able to be getting through PT as fast as I have been.
Yeah, man. It's but I'm not complaining. I'm walking. I'm having a.
I'm keeping the cane just for special appearance.
Yeah, I'm not even walking. I'm not even walking with a cane, man. I'm doing pretty good. Now I'm still in the chair for long distances.
I
Man,
didn't
gotta take a
say I
break.
needed it, except to go up and down stairs right
Yeah,
now. But
okay, cool.
I'm keeping it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. We got some comment dump here. Let's.
Oh yeah, I've been
let's-
watching
let's-
this.
Yeah. So Joe Bacham, he says probably won't see much interaction from me. Got too many code screens up right now, and that's fine, Joe. This is a great listening show. So for the next
talk about
hour or
Joe
so,
for a second,
all
because
right.
Joe has been amazing. I was talking to him about he was doing construction apps. He's made these wonderful apps to help people who are doing high-end calculations for construction. And I'm like, well, that's number generation, brother. Why not set up some stuff for gaming? So he and I got together, and he set up the first Big Stompy Robots app that just works like D&D Beyond. It lets you do the dice rolls and figure out the direction for drift for when things miss. So we actually this week have come together and done an app for that. He's done an RPG. This one is based on D&D. Let him get the kinks out on that before I plot anything further. For character generation, hit one button, you get your stats, you get your race, you get your class, all this amazing stuff. And I love to see somebody who takes that jump of, wait, I can use what I'm doing for work or other things to do something really cool, and get started. So Joe Bachman Technologies, Joe Bach Technologies, it actually set me up with my website. So I am currently building www.nicholastalkert.com. So I'm finally having something in case the social media shifts. This is a big deal for me. It's just not been something I'm able to do.
Well, with the, I hate to say it, but with modern social media, you never know when a platform is gonna, the algorithms work against us all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always great to have your own website.
And that it gives me a chance to really finally have that fallback. And I
That's
really
great.
encourage any creator out there who can to set up something like that, because we joke about being canceled a lot on this channel, but it's something that happens sometimes justly, sometimes unjustly. That's a great discussion. But I think it's necessary to be prepared, because you may not do anything wrong. It's real. I've seen slander happen where somebody's been, just raked through the coals. I've been, canceled in certain organizations based on lies and balderdash. I mean, complete fabrications.
Well, you know what that makes me think of, right?
You see, your actions have consequences. When you oppress people, they rise up in a fiery anger.
Exactly.
And that's where the revolution comes from, my friends.
Now, fiery anger is not my style. I prefer nice, cuddly. Let's just all be civil here.
Yeah. Sometimes civility goes out the door, if you know what I mean.
Civility may go out the door, but good form never does. And that's, if I like to say, if you ever hear me say something bad about somebody, I hope I've built up enough that people understand it takes a lot. That should have meaning. There's some people who will rage about everything out there, and I don't think that's how you should be. I want that hammer to be heavy when I finally have to swing it. There we go. What we're doing here is playing StreamYard volleyball. I set Luke Spikes.
There we go. Yeah. So Brian K. Moore says, "Don't say COVID and bring it on in the same sentence." Okay. Yeah. Maybe you're right. Maybe we won't. I do say that that Delta variant that I caught a couple months before, like when it was started to pick up, I made a joke about Delta variant. Where do I get that cover? Yikes. That joke did not age well.
But you know what? You're big enough to admit, oops.
Yeah. Well, I was big enough to lose. Yeah. Never mind. I lost 80 pounds with the whole thing. There's a joke about being fat in there somewhere. I'll figure it out. I'll have it ready for next week.
Anything extra I'm losing to your recovery formula.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think it was our overweight. Our being overweight that helped keep us alive.
Yeah, because we had weight to lose. Yeah.
Yes.
Facebook user says I've been doing quite a bit of book signing for the cover art on Stake. Man, please make sure to give permission so that we know who you are, or at least tell us who you are, so we know who. I could probably piece it together a little bit there. Critical Blast is in the chat. Good morning, Critical Blast. Nice to have you here. Says Murphy's COVID. Yes, Murphy's COVID. Then we've got Fresher Luke is with us today. You see, I'm regular Luke, sometimes stale Luke. This is Fresher Luke. I hope you're feeling better, Luke Stone. I am, buddy. Randy and I are both on the road to recovery. Yeah. We are making comics again. Yeah. We are promoting. And so this week we're pushing hard the... hold on. I did it to myself.
That's what she said.
We're pushing hard the long shots, and I'm also I go live with Hybrids, the Killing Field Part 3 on Monday, so looking forward to that. And Frog G is with Brian on that one. Yeah. You gotta tell me who you are, and we might be up next for hybrid drawing. I'm actually talking with Jason Metcalf about doing a cover for the next book. So yeah, he does great work. So pretty excited about that. Brian K. Morris says the secret to no comment dumps is to talk like you're selling micro machines. Yeah, you know what? I can't talk fast anymore.
No, that's why he has me. I let him get the beginning, and then when he starts to get tired, then I start talking really fast and having a good time. Speaking of micro machines, I'm really excited because I used to collect micro machines back in the day. But my parents had a fire, and almost all my childhood toys got melted. They got destroyed. It was a chimney fire. They were in the attic right next to where the chimney was.
What a story, Mark.
Exactly. But I'll take it.
Set Spike. Got it. Yes.
But I'm rebuilding, and I found these at Walmart.
Oh, way cool.
And I couldn't help it. I don't normally do these. Look at the stuff I found. But these were really, really cool.
That is awesome.
It's old school. Because, I'm sorry, we're going to talk a bit about Batman. Till the day I die, Adam West will be my Batman.
Yeah.
He's the core Batman. followed by probably Kevin Conroy,
Yeah.
who,
Yeah.
the voice of the animated Batman.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got Dojo Kun with us today. Good morning, Dojo Kun. He says, I will be listening too, but I'm supposed to be doing policies, procedures, and fraud examination. Well, you do that. Have a good time listening. If something strikes your fancy enough that you want to make a comment, then please slide on over and make that comment, because we're always happy to hear you, hear what you have to say. Dojo is also working on the final findings of the Liberty debacle. The whole reason the long shots are a thing, and so we're looking forward to him putting a final bit of punctuation on that whole story, so that we can move on from it, know what it is, and then just be about making great comics. Which Dojo has a couple of great campaigns running right now that you need to go check out. So definitely check that out. Arya Black says good audience on this show. Yes, it is. It's one of the best audiences on any comic podcast that I've ever witnessed.
Absolutely.
The audience is growing, and we're up early.
Yeah, morning.
we
This is a morning audience. You can feel that morning energy.
Yeah,
and everybody, a moment of silence, just a second here for our man Luke.
Yeah.
His coffee maker died this morning, and he is doing the show without coffee. As somebody else who's non-caffeinated voluntarily, Guys, if you want to help out Luke, now is a great time to remember the Long Shots campaign, hybrids, and Luke, do you have a PayPal or a GoFundMe for your deceased coffee?
Well, I don't have a GoFundMe, but I do take tips at my PayPal, LukeStoneStudios@gmail.com.
It might be time to do one. You could take a video of your coffee maker pleading its case.
Yes.
In black and white with that one song that everybody always uses.
Please send me money so Luke can buy a new coffee maker, because I am broken.
Oh. Crispy just pops up and goes,
Griffs.
For just a few dollars a day, you too can provide Luke Stone with coffee in the morning.
Yeah. And we cut to Luke and he goes, coffee keeps me sane.
Yeah. Arya Black, your favorite podcast is Critical Blast. That is a great, I love his intro on the Critical Blast. Yeah, it's a good podcast.
I've caught myself walking around the house going, row, 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 row.
Sorry.
Yeah. Frog G is killing it with the links today. Thank you, Frog G.
But I'm not seeing Operation Wrench down here yet, Frog G. Plug yourself, my friend. And thank you for all.
Yes.
Wow.
Chris Cox saying, hello, Luke Stone Studios. Thank you, Chris. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you. I like Frog G. There's a joke about being fat in there, but I lost it. Ah, thank you. Very good. That's a great one. Frog G, once again with a win. He is, he's great. And Dojo's with me. Sometimes fire anger works. I love Nick has that passive kind of heart about him, Randy. But sometimes we wake up, we choose violence, right? And Dojo.
I'd say nothing.
Yeah, but
Be held accountable in a court of law.
I have self-control.
And COVID was not a great diet plan.
No.
In all honesty, it was not.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Good morning, Agent Zero. We got Agent Zero in here today. Exciting stuff to be sure. Yes.
I absolutely love that handle, because Agent Zero takes me right back to Danger Girl, and that makes me happy. I'm all for that. Sorry, just went for a trip for a second there.
Yeah. All right. So we're kind of caught up. We got a lot of people showing love in the chat, and I love seeing that. Hail Area Black, back and forth. What's up? How's everybody doing? That's the kind of stuff I like to see.
Brian, there is always morning energy, and if you don't believe it, you got to check the comment section on Nevermind the Furthermore, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 o'clock, because I'll be there harassing Brian K. Morris.
You know what's sad? I used to listen to never mind the furthermore, while in the hospital. I didn't comment on anything because I couldn't type very well. But sadly, what has happened is now all of my therapy is Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. So I can't watch it.
Yeah.
So sometimes I go back and I watch a replay or something. But
So, folks, if you want to be able to help Luke Stone afford to watch never mind the furthermore someday and pay for his therapy, hit up his PayPal. Oh, sorry. Wow. I'm growing a fez one of these days.
Hamalana.
It's like them, yeah. Can we take an offering in the church this morning? Can we take an offering? You know, here's what I feel about those TV evangelists.
There's only one thing I hate more than lying. Skim milk, which is water that's lying about being milk.
That's the truth right there. Yes, Chris, message me privately, and I'll make sure you are able to get a hold of the series. We can get you something sent out there. And then, I'm another comment dump. Here we go. Brian K. Morris, Luke, I am your therapy. I can write you a note. Thank you very much. I might have to take you up on that. Agent Zero says, LOL. I'm not familiar with Danger Girl. Definitely need to check it out. My handle came from when I played GoldenEye on the Wii, and originally my gamer tag was 000. Okay, that's cool. 000. That's cool, man.
No, I love
That's
that.
awesome.
That's great. Look, it's one of my favorites. It's a J. Scott Campbell title from Image did it, and it's pulpy. It's politically incorrect.
Yeah.
Attractive women beating up evil people.
Yeah.
James Bond on anime crack, and I love it.
You saw me trip over his handle, and so he actually said I decided to change it to be easier to pronounce. Yeah, because I tripped over it too. So, you know what? Let's take just a quick second, if we can, though. I just want to listen to this background music today. Okay, so this is the end of it. But that's pretty bad, right?
Oh, I'm all for this one.
But it never ends.
That's like rock and roll, right? Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, this is awesome.
I just keep waiting to hear.
Do you think we could get by with a half-hour stream with only us headbanging to the background music? I've seen worse shows on the internet. Trust me, I've seen worse shows on the
I've
internet.
watched worse shows for hours on the internet.
Right? Yeah, right.
On the YouTubes, they have a fantastic Norwegian train trip. A number of them, actually.
Oh, okay.
Sat there for hours watching the tunnels go by.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Nice. So, a couple things I want to bring up before we get going too fur. Is make sure to check out the Raging 2 Network. We got lots of great shows on there. We got dispatches from outside the box on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Wednesdays we've got Let Daphne Lage Art, Ego Works, her art live stream is at 4 p.m. Eastern. And then at Wednesday night, we got the Zimcast at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's always a fun time. You want to make sure you check that out. Obviously, you found us here this morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. This is Nerd Bacon, and we broadcast every Thursday, no matter where in the world I might be. I find a spot to broadcast Nerd Bacon. And then on Sundays at 9 a.m., Zim's back with Sunday Funnies, which is the lighter, more whimsical side of comics. You definitely want to check that out. And then we've got JD Calderon talking comics on a Sundays at 7:30 p.m. Make sure to check that out. And right now, for all of your comic shipping needs, we have a coupon code. You can save 5% on your next Gemini mailer order at Ragin2. Use Ragin2 as your coupon code. Make sure to check that out, and so you'll have that. So there we go. I've gotten some of that housekeeping out of the way. We've got a few more comments. Yes.
Let's see what we're...
Someone asked if I know Abundant Life Church in Kokomo. I am aware. I'm very familiar with them. Yep. And then my sister's in the chat. Good morning, sis. She says, "Yeah, that's rock and roll. I love you, Luke. I love you too. We love rock and roll. Our family grew up with rock and roll. Little did I know when I first started playing guitar, people were like, man, you've kind of got a this sound or that sound, you know. And I kept getting, especially in recent years, I kept getting compared to Gilmour from Pink Floyd.
David Gilmour, yeah.
David Gilmour, yeah. And I was like, I don't know. I wasn't really a Pink Floyd fan. And then I just started picking up some music and listening to him. I'm like, yeah, I play a lot like this guy. What I didn't realize is hanging out, my brothers and sisters would listen to Pink Floyd, Santana, stuff like that. And that, like, rock sound just became like what my brain associated with rock. Sure. And so as I started playing, I started to emulate some of that stuff, which is kind of cool. It's kind of fun. Oh, and it looks like we got a new show on the Raging 2 Network starting up, Sketchy Saturday, starting April 9th with Marv V. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. We got Hojo.
Mike Jimmy, I believe, is also on that.
Yeah, Mike Jimmy. Sometimes Mike Jimmy joins us in here, but I don't think he's available today.
What a nice guy. I'm sorry, Mike Jimmy's just one of the nicest guys I think I've met online. I really like Mike Jimmy.
Yep. So yeah, Hojo's here. So Hojo is here now. We can start. We're looking forward to that.
Finally, we got Hojo.
We got Hojo. Luke, listen to Gilmour's solo album. "Raise My Rent" is a great guitar song. You know what? I will. I'll take a listen to that. I'm always looking for new things to enjoy. Speaking of new things to enjoy, I found some panels, comic panels, this week that just cracked me up. First one I want to bring up is this one. This is courtesy of Jack the King Kirby. Now, to be fair, he did not write this. He likely did not write this. Somebody else did. But let's pay attention to this dialogue for a second. Yeah, so for those just listening, here's a panel. There's a man that is surrounded by guys smoking what appears to be cigars, and smoke running around him. And his comment is, "I need a marijuana. I gotta have a reefer." And they tell him, "Talk first. Start talking." Okay. I'm telling you, that's some crazy dialogue. But it's a great panel by Jack the King Kirby. Definitely, you see the Kirby hands in there. You see the Kirby faces. Just well composed. And but that panel, it made me laugh. It definitely got a chuckle out of me. But
see
this one,
the wonderful coloring misprinting on that, just classic comics.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I think there's a lot of quality. It's like this is the perfect panel for discussing when you have a great artist and a subpar writer.
Yeah, but you know what? It was still fun comics, and I like that color misprint a little bit.
Yeah.
But you know what's going on? This whole thing was probably done in just a matter of weeks, where now it takes months to complete a comic book. You know, they were cranking this stuff out back then.
Probably a matter of hours. If you look at the smoke, there's a place where two bits of smoke overlap, and they didn't bother to white out one or the other.
Yep.
Yeah, right here.
Put it in front.
Yeah, right there, right underneath that dialogue bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, but
I like it. I think it looks better with the overlay.
So it has a few problems, but look at this one. This panel likely took ages to complete, and this is a tweet courtesy of Zachary Burrell at Zach Burrell 10. He says, "Looking at Batgirl bathroom makes me unreasonably upset." Can you see what's wrong with this image?
As well, you should.
Oh no. Okay. I'm hoping this is a parody on New York style apartments. That's the only chance that this could have.
This made it past. Okay, so this likely took weeks to do this panel. So there was pencils, there was inks. Maybe the same person did both. There's colors. There's definitely an editor working over there at DC. What they're doing, I'm not sure. Working. Yeah. Hardly working. Yeah. Yeah. So over there. In this panel, the bathtub extends over the door.
And the door does not have a doorknob.
No,
I think
has,
it does.
It
No, it has a lock.
It has a lock.
That's why I was thinking the door swings out, because the only way that style of lock, the barrel lock, works is if the door swings out. And I have seen some crazy tiny New York style apartments. You see them in Chicago sometimes, where screwball things like this happen. I was hoping this is started at the bottom, now she's here.
Yeah.
And this is the start at the bottom. I'm really hoping that.
But here's the question: is this the bathroom in the Batcave? Because she's in full costume.
Yeah. Well, I thought this was her apartment.
That's what I thought too. I thought it was her apartment.
Not only that, but the rug goes underneath the bathtub.
The
toilet.
Yeah, it's just. I'm
It's
trying
just-
desperately to be nice, but this.
There's nothing nice about this. When you look at this, if you have any amount of OCD at all, knowing that it's like, yeah, I understand it's a comic book and it's not real, but for crying out loud, once this came to light, it got printed, right? So this made it past editorial. It went through inks, pencils, inks, colors, lettering, all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, you've got people at DC looking like this.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't do it. It's not my fault.
Okay, you know
Your
what
fault.
drives me nuts? I got it. I don't know, months, years ago, before Luke went down.
Yeah.
And I'm
Months.
sorry, time broke in 2021. It will never come back for me. I'm just done being able to direct them. You were working on a panel. We were talking, and this happens. We have rooms like this, and he's working on a panel, and it was the hotel. You remember the hotel?
Yeah.
The hybrids. And Luke is keeping the angle of all the windows, doors, and everything perfectly proportional while he's doing this on Clip Art Studio. And he's chatting, and I'm watching the precision of this, and we're talking about the backgrounds and the effect of the sign. This was like the Starlight Hotel.
Stardust, but that's close. Yeah.
Not bad for me. For
Not
me,
bad for
that's
you at all.
not bad. Just a gorgeous scene that can be called back to later, but all these precise things. And then the big wigs, big two, best of the best. The guys, people like us spend our lives trying to get into their chair that doesn't even have an office anymore.
Yeah.
Do something like that.
Yeah. Right. Frog G says there's so many problems with this panel.
Yeah.
There are so
Sorry,
many.
I ran.
It is. It's. I mean, it's it's hard to keep track of all the problems in that panel. We've got Hojo saying hired Piper, the Wolf Mama, to edit my comic and short story I'm submitting. I had no idea you knew her, so now I'm even happier to have her. Piper's great. She's a great editor. She does good work in spite of me. She sometimes has her work cut out editing me, but she does great work. And I suggest anybody should hire an editor. Hire Piper. She's a great editor, but hire an editor all the same because
If
it's
you
important.
can't get Piper, I've heard a rumor Brian K. Morris might have done something.
Brian K. Morris, another good editor.
I've heard a rumor that he was the editor for the Jack Kirby book, but I'm not
There's a
sure
rumor.
it's confirmed.
Yeah.
You might have to track that down.
It's
Yeah,
in
we
there.
might.
It's in there.
Yeah, and
And some wingnut wrote the forward for that book too.
Yeah,
some wingnut. Yeah,
wasn't it a hobo in his van?
I don't know.
about the river?
The Gan.
really weird.
There's someone that we call the Gandalf of comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, Brian. So I've got a short story, kind of an intro to a story called Eighth Day, coming out here soon. Brian kind of edited that. It was the editing force behind that short story, and that turned out great. I'm excited about it. Art by Eric Hodson. I can't remember who my colorist is. I've hired so many people in the last few weeks to get some projects finished so that I can get them to crowdfunding. But I'll figure that out and let everyone know eventually. So.
That's on my agenda as soon as I get my current book done.
And the carpet is part of the floor. Yes, the carpet is part of the floor there. It's craziness. Agent Zero says the visual reference for the Batgirl bathroom was likely a product of union work. Oh, yeah. Frog G's pointing out, door blocked by the tub, rug under tub and toilet, plunger in doorway, shower rod only connected on one side, 50 way to show too much shadow from shower curtain. Yeah. 6, her anatomy. Yeah. A lot of problems there. A lot of things going on. She goes, and Hojo says, "Oh, I saw this the other day. As a homeowner, my first thought was water damage on the wall with the shower comes on." Yeah, there's all those things you think about.
Isn't it funny how we can accept Superman, right? And the older I get, the more I kind of miss like Christopher Reeve's Superman, like good guy Superman who does good guy Superman things instead of the constant dark one. But no, that I can process that. I can process any superhero you want to throw at me, usually mentally. But that room haunts me.
It tests my ability to believe in the whimsical.
Man, but that room,
And
it terrifies.
Yeah, I never thought I would say this when I was younger, but I miss Kurt Swan's Superman
Yeah,
really badly.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be
A lot
honest.
to be said for those great old books.
I've been watching the because I wanted to watch with my son. He asked me how old Superman was out of the blue.
Sorry, that's standards and practices.
All
And
right.
I found the old
I have to step out.
the Fleischman cartoons. The classic old, I want to say Fleischman cartoons. My speech impediment is getting a hold of that word.
Yeah.
But you know where Superman like punches the death ray up and then ties the gun in the knot, you know?
I love that stuff, man.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm ready for that. Can we like
Of course he can do that.
now DC, I understand somebody taught DC that you can add black to an image to make it more emotionally evocative and dark, you know, and that works for bats. But DC has gotten to the point where it's literally just like rim lighting in their movies.
Yeah.
It's a rimlet at this point.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
I'm saying I physically cannot watch a
yeah.
lot of the movies that come out, and it's not just them. I watched like Underworld at a theater, and there were kids misbehaving, like teenagers, so they left the lights on a little bit. Do you know how dark a movie the Vampires vs. Werewolves Underworld movie is?
Dark.
It's like black on Kate Beckinsale in like skin tight something. You know, that's like you can't even watch it. So DC, please, I know you're watching this because Luke's an important enough person. You want to feel like
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm like right now the execs of Marvel and DC are glued. We have like however many viewers, 2 of them are the heads of each. Don't let anyone fool you. Okay, they want to steal Luke.
Well, I really like shortbread.
Now watch 2 weeks from now, like Red Hood's gonna be like, by the way, I really like shortbread.
I really like shortbread. Okay, so I got to get through a couple of these comments before we move on to this, because I want to talk about the darkness of these movies. Okay, so we got Brian K. Moore says that bathroom belongs with the Rob Liefeld Captain America #1 with a rotary dial phone that has only 9 holes. There you go.
Sure.
Piper's a good editor.
Sorry, that was a client. I had to take that call.
Hey, that's
No
important.
problem. We're all
Yeah.
business.
I've hired an editor for my upcoming book, an editor by the name Shay the Red of Red Valkyrie Fame.
Because of my
Yes,
day
Shay is
walking, I
good.
don't get to see them. Frog, please send my love to Shay. She is one of the most awesome people on the planet. And then there's Sai. I'm kidding, Sai. I love you too. You're a pain in the butt, but I love you.
Brian K. Morris says that rumor about him editing, that's when he started because Glenn's too classy to give me the credit of my ego demands.
Well, we have to have somebody classy around here.
Agent Zero's an editor looking for work. Maybe the guys, maybe those folks at DC could use your help, because not trying to point fingers, but
You know what? Send
That's
them a
pretty bad.
resume with a picture of that and all the errors circled. You know, just send them their own panel. You missed this.
One of those make sure it's in red ink. Can you find what's wrong with this picture? Kind of thing.
Yeah. Brian K. Morris is does a couple of comics and is doing pro novel editing as well. He's a pretty busy guy, but you can even hit up Brian K. Morris.
And Brian needs to write his own stuff too. He's got all the stuff, he keeps putting it off
Yeah.
for everybody else. Do your stuff.
There's a little
Go make
pulp
it tell
book
your
that
story.
that he and I are going to work on eventually.
If they had put electrical outlets in that bathroom, Brian, they would have probably been out of perspective.
True. Yep. Realistically, the place would have burned down. Frog G says at this point he believes the electrical outlets are in the tub, Brian.
Behind the shower curtain. Yes.
That they may be. Hojo says, yeah, Brian, I turned into your pod for the first time the other day. Good info. Very good podcast. Love it over there. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So I went and I watched the new Batman movie. Was it yesterday? No, Tuesday. Tuesday night with the family. I will say this. It's not the Batman of the comic books. They really nailed the whole detective thing. But it was not the Batman. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. But I will say it's dark. Its content is dark. But its visuals are dark. I saw this this meme where they were kind of joking, how the darker the Batman movies get, and in 2025 it's just gonna be a black screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's none there, but it was pretty. Now I'll be honest with you. Some people probably, I think the most glaring thing was the Riddler was definitely not the comic book series Riddler. It was a dark kind of Riddler, but man, that was like candy to me, Zim. It was so. I was like, oh, I'm digging this kind of gritty Riddler. It was nice. That movie did have 3 endings, though. 3 endings. It could have ended in 3 different spots. Yeah, 2 before the one it actually ended with. And I think at the end of the day, it was almost kind of like, I think they were pleased with themselves with what they did.
Yay! Think about what you've accomplished.
Oh, good night, everybody. Oh, sorry.
I think they were. Yeah, I think they were pleased with what they had accomplished on that movie. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. The Batmobile. I'll be honest with you. In there's a scene where the Batmobile, you don't see it the whole movie until close to the end, and then they fire. He fires it up, and it was like, and I was like, yeah, I love it. I literally hooted. I go hoot hoot. I was like, yes, because yeah, and I'll tell you the sound engineers on that movie did it great, and the Foley artist. Every time Batman hit somebody, it rumbled in your seat, and I'm like, man, that felt like it hurt. Like I would not want to be hit by Batman. But the worst part is, so at one point you've got Patterson or Batterson or Patman, whichever you like, you choose. But you've got Patterson there with his shirt off, and I'm like, all right, it makes those hits not as believable. I'm like, he should have spent a little more time, and you could tell he's got a bigger physique than what he had in some of the other movies. He's definitely bigger than in Harry Potter, and he's bigger than in the Twilight movies, but he's still not that big. He's not that big, and so there's, and I've heard some people complain about things like, at one point he seems like he's afraid of heights because he runs out and he's got to jump. He does like this base jumping thing, like Batman does. Some people were upset about that. They didn't like that he seemed that way, but it was interesting. So it made me start thinking. People don't like it. Some people love it. you know. But it reminds me of when a new comic, like reimagining of a book comes out, and a writer and artist team up to make, to do a new Batman or do a new Superman or do a new X-Men. And they reimagine, like for instance, they've got the latest Punisher. They're trying to reimagine Punisher with the logo and everything. People don't like it, and that's fine. That's fine if they don't like it. But so what are your guys' thoughts on taking a classically known character and trying to reimagine it for the big screen, to do something different that hasn't been done before? At what point when are those changes too much? And at what when do they become okay? Enough creative liberty here. Stay true to the character. What do you guys think? What's your thoughts on that?
Randy,
You want me to take it? I'll take
Yeah.
it.
I'll
All
give you
depends.
first.
All depends upon the character. If the character's been beaten into the ground, like Batman, good luck. You have to do something different in order to bring another audience in. If the character's was done a long time ago and was done serious back then, and has a ridiculous costume like Peacemaker, you can't do anything but comedy and gain an audience. Whatever they have to do in order to entertain. Well, I won't even say that either, because there's some pretty insulting depictions out there that I don't necessarily care for. But James Gunn, I think, has a good handle on that, on what can make comedy and what should be taken seriously. I think the Guardians of the Galaxy films and the second Suicide Squad film really show that he's kind of a master and a genius at that. Peacemaker, to me, was completely surprising because I hated the casting. I didn't see the Suicide Squad 2 movie when it come out, but I was stuck in bed watching the HBO series and laughing my ass off.
So
Even though
funny.
it was Peacemaker and it was a correct costumed Peacemaker.
It's not Peacemaker.
All you could think is, what are you going to do with a guy who dresses up in that kind of costume, especially in modern day?
Yeah.
You can't
So
take him seriously.
I will say this.
They did it.
Yeah, I will say this: the Suicide Squad, the second one, is not a 2. It's not a sequel. It's they
not.
just redid it.
Yeah.
They fixed the movie because the first one was kind of garbo.
It was a dark, jumbled mess.
Yeah, and so they fixed it. It was really interesting.
Well,
But Peacemaker, yeah. So
again,
I watched that one.
It shows how good Gunn is to do a cohesive movie like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I watched the Peacemaker series too, and it was it's not safe for work.
No.
It is, but it's a glorious mess, is what it is. This character, that's kind of reimagining of a character who is what I wouldn't even say is B level. I'd say more like C or D level character. Kind of coming with that. And Batman has been done to bits, but there are people that are fans of Miss Marvel that are upset about her power being translated different for the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me. Now I'm not a Miss Marvel fan. There was a period of time when I wasn't reading comics because of life, kind of stepped in the way, kids, job, mortgage, all that kind of stuff. Just couldn't make it to the comic book shop. Couldn't afford to buy comics every week. Just got out of it, right? And during that time is when Miss Marvel came to light. And when I came back, I saw the book. Didn't have a problem with it, but I could tell it wasn't written for me. It was written for, a different audience, a newer audience probably. And I was fine with it. So I never really picked it up and made it part of my repertoire of comics that I collect or read. So I don't have any emotional connection to that trailer. Nick, I know you got something to say.
Oh, I know. As soon as I did, he accidentally muted my.
No,
mic.
I did. I've got some crackling in my earphones.
Oh,
and
okay.
I was wondering
So,
where it was coming from.
I'm
I think
sorry.
it's coming out of loop.
I kill headsets. I go through them about once a month, so I've just given up for a while till I can afford a better one. Save up the difference. Okay. A lot of my comic stuff, for the IP comes from the different animated series, because it's actually cheaper for me to watch a lot of those than get a hold of them. Miss Marvel, when she hit at first, was kind of annoying, but I was also a substitute teacher at that time, long-term sub. I spent a lot of time in high schools and middle schools and I realized she was very reflexive of her target audience, much the way that Peter Parker was reflective of the target, how I felt as a teenager, you know. And is she cringy? Yes, teenagers are cringy.
Oh yeah.
So the way they did her through the comics had a very, like I said, very Peter Parker, almost sense of endearment to her. I could see, and the idea of another naive superhero who might have to deal with, the idea of superhero worship and getting over that to do her thing. That's actually a really neat perspective that they didn't do badly. A lot of people were upset because she was she's Muslim. I don't care.
Don't bother
I have
me in
friends
the
who are
least.
Muslim. They deserve representation too. It was handled as part of the character. It wasn't a zero something where they randomly took a character and changed them for the gimmick of it.
Well,
So
and,
it felt
and that's what they
authentic.
should do. That's what they should do with these characters is make them
Exactly.
culturally diverse, because that's how you one teach tolerance and two educate people.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we need to stop the lazy writers who want to just make everything a mantle because it's a sure bet.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
will buy Captain America, whoever's wearing the Captain America. That's why they tried it with Batman back in great series. The whole Nightfall arc was amazing with Azrael as Batman, and that very suddenly primal, out of nowhere vicious Batman it was a great arc to see, and I think it was a warning of what was to come. If you take that what was so shocking now and you compare it to modern Bats, in a lot of cases it's not that shocking anymore.
Yeah.
They've twisted the dark, but with Miss Marvel, they set up a really her power set was very clear. She could stretch. She was the new elongated get kind of bigger person. They haven't had one of those in a long time. The movie looks like, they've forgotten that the world has forgotten that Scott Pilgrim was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People really like Scott Pilgrim, so we're going to turn her into Scott Pilgrim.
It was definitely a Scott Pilgrim vibe. It looked like they're using more of the kind of the Marvel, Captain Marvel type power
Yeah,
with the Miss Marvel.
which
Um,
I think they're
yeah.
trying to. Well, the other thing is, no one's managed to handle the Inhumans. Never seem to work on film. They're kind of like Fantastic Four, where no matter how many times they try to reboot or play with it, it never really carries well.
yeah, never
Fine
really
in
touched it.
animation, but there's something about the power sets, and probably the fact there's a giant dog with an antenna on his head, that they can't make the serious. And her
Yeah.
power of doing human flesh and not falling into the uncanny valley is
Yeah.
really good point, Froggy. Really hard. It's hard to do and not have it look bad.
Frog G says they're slowly progressing the Batman films into the radio show, at least from the lighting standpoint or aspect.
Yeah.
Nita thinks Patman is funny. I got her to chuckle. Patman or Batterson. I prefer Patman, I think. And then, so we've got, I think if you're going to bother reimagining, just create something new.
Yeah.
But I'm with Zim on this one. I think if it's one that's been done to death, reimagine it. Like the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix was reimagined. I liked it, but the problem was they haven't done a proper Joker movie. They haven't done a proper Joker yet. So it's not one that we've seen a lot of done well in cinema. So though it was a reimagining, it wasn't really Joker. I think that was the problem that some people had with it. Now I enjoyed the film. It was like Taxi Driver or something like that to me. It was
Down.
but it was it wasn't really wasn't really Joker. But I think on these new characters, when it's a first time that they come to the big screen, I think it's important to be true to the character because it's somebody's favorite character. With the exception of these, like a Peacemaker. Nobody knew who Peacemaker was. Nobody knew who Polka Dot Man was, right?
Yeah.
Well, can we talk about the actor who played Polka Dot Man?
If
I
you
can
want
never
to,
remember his
we
name.
can talk about anything.
I want to mention him because he was
It's our
in
show.
the MacGyver reboot,
Okay.
and he played Murdoch in that. And that show was kind of rough, but it is totally worth it to see him play a complete delightful sociopath. I mean, the just bat poop insane, but oddly composed sociopath, and then to see him play a character like Polka Dot Man was really, that's one of those character actors I think we need to watch. He's going to fall in that Mark Shepard category of what is his name? Because if Hollywood is
Somebody will find it. They'll pop it in the comments here soon. Raging 2 says Guardians was the exception for me. Agent Zero says, I think comics should no longer be adapted for movies. Just make seasons for streaming and actually care about the source material. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad
They're
idea.
dying.
The big problem with that Agent Zero is a lot of that source material is incredibly, incredibly bad.
Yeah, true. That is unfortunate, yeah. That is unfortunate. Some of it is very bad.
You get some of these, all of these characters, especially the more iconic ones, have their ups and downs depending upon the creative teams.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get talent, he says in air quotes, that phone it in really badly. Really badly. And that's writers as well as artists.
Hojo says comedy mixed with another genre can work if comedy isn't used as a crutch. Marvel tries for it lately. Everything isn't Iron Man or Guardians of the Galaxy. Guns Slither is a great example. Yep. And Nita just wants us to let Nick talk.
No,
That was me.
fine.
Yeah.
I turned him right back on.
Keely Chow's in the chat. Good
Could have
morning.
removed them all together.
Keely says, hey everybody, good morning. Good morning to you. What's going on? We're just having fun talking about comics and comics going to movie to the big screen. And then I've got another topic to end us out with before we end, which is it's big screen related, but something that I've caught on to that I think is pretty cool.
Before we leave movies, I just want to say that when you're adapting a comic book, when you're adapting a superhero title especially, there are very few people that get it right. Marvel gets it right maybe 80% of the time because they've got it down to a formula that always works. They have certain beats that they hit at certain times in the film and the film structure.
Yeah.
I think Tim Burton had it right when he first approached Batman
Yes.
from a completely fresh perspective, from a completely different world, that right from the outset, you knew you were not really in reality.
Yeah.
You know, by
We
the
need a-
architecture, by the feel, by the just the look of everything. We need more movies like that. That's why if you go back and you look at the Dick Tracy movie, it holds up so
Loved it.
well and gets better every time I watch it.
Yes.
Because it's completely removed from reality. You see the primary colors, you see the characters all with the weird makeup, and you know that they aren't real, and it just removes you. That's part of entertainment. That's part of comics. Comics has always been about escapism and over exaggeration.
Yeah.
That's why they get into trouble so quickly with using stereotypes and bad dialogue.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Agent Zero says, I don't believe it's lazy so much as there are megacorps in control of these properties now.
Yeah.
And they're asking for constant content, and the writing is not allowed to percolate and be thoughtful. You know, that very well could be
Or it's
the
written by
case.
committee and it gets watered down.
That's why we don't have Hellboy 3. We have whatever that other thing was.
Yeah.
We don't have the Ron Perlman Hellboy 3 that we
Yeah.
desperately deserve.
And he continues, says, instead it's all just manufactured and cookie cutter with lackluster storytelling that checks all the political boxes for their stakeholders and shareholders.
Well,
yeah.
one of the cool things about the Marvel movies is, yes, absolutely what Agent Zero says, but they have enough sense to go out and get a talented director, talented cast, in order to cover over that with a layer
Yeah.
of frosting that's worth watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
I-
most of the time.
DC has not figured out how to do that yet.
No, they
Warner
have.
Brothers has not figured out that formula.
They keep listening to having to put these characters in reality, and it's like, no, this isn't real life. This is superheroes.
Yeah.
There's something else that needs to be said for Marvel DC. Why Marvel is working more than DC is. historically, when you are in a grim, dark reality, right? In the 80s, it was fun to watch really dark horror movies because it was divergent from life. That's why you had some of the best horror. The 80s were
Yeah.
actually fairly prosperous, one of the most peaceful times in recent history. So the movies could be really dark and foul. Now you look at after World War II, what kind of movies were big? Musicals, big, colorful, happy
Fun,
movies.
whimsy, yeah.
Right now, we're coming out of a pandemic. We're in an economic
Well,
something. Some say
you,
depression. Some say, you know,
I will
World
add
War
this about
III is looming. I don't want dark, gritty, soul destroying. I can live stream the war in Ukraine if I want dark, gritty, fear, terror.
and
I want something,
yeah,
visually stimulate me. It's going to. I'm going to feel better when I'm done watching it, which
Yeah.
is why I walked away from a lot of the movies altogether. And I think James Gunn especially gets that. And I think James Gunn is in a position to fill the slot that has been vacated by Joss Whedon,
yeah.
both as a writing force and a directing force. He may not be as good. He's different in different ways.
As long as they can keep from, canceling. Just got to keep from canceling themselves.
Well, and that's my point. But he at least like I watched Guardians of the Galaxy and then I rewatched it. I mean, like I
That's
watched
fun.
it through
It's a fun
because
watch, yeah.
it made me happy, and then I wanted, and it has the depth where there's always stuff going on in the background. The
Oh, yeah.
smart directors, the good directors, don't just you don't just have the foreground. And DC gets cheap. They make it dark, so they don't have to worry about the background. You don't need to know the world. I'm the guy who looks at the background in the panels of comics. You know, we need depth and we need interest, and rewatchability comes in part from wait, did they foreshadow that all the way at the beginning? Holy smokes, the villain was crossing the street in the intro shot and you don't notice it. That kind of rapt thinking makes me a better writer because I think of those types of scenes and it makes movies better.
Yeah.
If they'll do that, we can really enjoy it. But you got to slow down and do it smart and not shortcut. Hi, Jody.
Yeah, we got Jody McPhee has joined us in the chat. Good morning, Jody.
Morning, Joe.
Having a good time here talking comics and comics being translated to the big screen. So yeah, it's I'll tell you, it's kind of going back to that earlier comment about the series. I felt like, maybe part of that's right, because, when we got the Peacemaker series, that was well done. I was able,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
yeah, that was fun.
Fun.
But
Most of it
again,
was really good. Yeah.
and again, those are complete reimaginings,
Yeah.
or brand new, which is really cool. It's nice when you can get brand new content, but sometimes you can't.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., though, had the same problem that the Inhumans had, and that was really bad budgeting.
Yeah,
And they had a real small budget, and they tried to do the best that they could with the budget that they had. And unlike in Inhumans, that just stumbled over their script in order to cut corners on their freaking budget, which they ought to be ashamed of. But they tried to actually do some quality work over at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Some entertainment, at least.
yeah. I like to be. I think at the end of the day, I like to be entertained. And Zim, you hit the nail on the head when it comes to that, outside of reality kind of thing.
Yeah.
That the more you take me out of reality, the better. And so while I was there, I saw a preview for a movie, and this is not comic related, but it is from a special guest. It is from a special guest that we have on the show.
Well, I really like shortbread.
Nick Cage has got a comeback coming, right? Yes. So he had a long period of time where he just did any movie that he could get because he was in serious debt.
Yeah.
And so he's paid off his debt now with all these movies. And he's like, hey, I never phoned in a single job that I ever did. I gave him my best the whole time. And he's like, and I think he did. He's got talent. But there's a new movie where him and Neil Patrick Harris Neil Patrick Harris says, "Hey, you're being invited to a party, a birthday party for this guy, and they're going to pay you $20,000 for it." And so he's like, "Okay, I'll go." And in the movie, he plays himself. Okay, he's Nick Cage going to this dude's birthday party, and when he gets there, he's asking about this guy. He's like, "So what am I going to have to do? Like, is this like what do I have to do? Is this guy like a freak or whatever?" And the guy's actually there in front of him, and but it turns out like this guy is like he's wanted by the government or whatever. He's some big bad guy, and so the U.S. government comes in and asks Nick Cage to be like a secret agent to help capture this guy or whatever. So Nick Cage is playing himself, who becomes a secret agent for the U.S. government. And I'm telling you, it looks ridiculous and it looks hilarious. And I'm like, this is the kind of movie that I want. There was another movie that I saw that has what's his name? Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's in it, and he's a hitman who wants to take a passive lifestyle like Nick. You know, he wants to be that passive, and they're like, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But it's called Bullet Train, and it's just a bunch of fighting and punching and stuff on this train. And every time someone that works that's not a part of this battle back and forth comes in, they stop and act like nothing's happening. They've got blood dripping from their faces, stuff like that, and they're just like, oh yeah, nothing's. And I'm like, okay, this looks kind of fun. And I'm seeing, because you know, you're right, Nick, you can turn on and see all the ugly in the world. And now it's a time that we want to go to comics that are not that way. I don't want reality on my page. I want something crazy
I want
on
to
the
see
page.
the good guys win. I want to have a good time. I understand it has to be difficult for them, but I want it to be exciting. I want them to use the infinite budget that they have to make it interesting and not shortcut, and tell a good story. It doesn't have to be life-changing, just fun.
Okay, Marv.
Yeah.
No, that's nothing wrong with that.
Incredible
I
book
was
series.
watching
Nothing.
Lou Ferrigno.
Nothing at all.
Hard stuff.
I'll tell you what,
It was great stuff for what it was when it was.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Primo,
I loved
yeah.
it.
But so
Agent Zero.
was Wonder Woman. So
Oh yeah.
fun stuff.
But
Daredevil.
Linda Carter can do very few things wrong in my world. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a man of a certain age, and
Yeah. Agent Zero likes the Daredevil plus the Netflix Street Hero series. Those are pretty good. I would like to see a little less. I don't know. Hey, they're good. I mean, they're entertaining.
Did you see Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Wasn't the Chris Evans cameo in that just unbelievable? I was laughing out loud at that. He's looking at his phone, going, "What the?"
Yes. Yeah. There was a lot of fun and whimsy to that. Now it did talk a little bit about some of the, you know, it had a little bit of a commentary on some of the stuff that you deal with corporations and stuff now.
Yeah.
But it was masked so well with the comedy and the humor. It was nice. But before we
I don't
go,
mind a little medicine if the pill's sugar coated.
yeah, no, we've been at this for about an hour and 10. But what I want to do is I want to talk about a way that everybody can get a little more whimsy in their life. There is 9 books that are part of this Long Shots campaign that will, you have the ability to just really escape into 9 different worlds. Some of those are a little more serious than others, superhero related. Some of those are funny and humorous. Some of those are serious. But it's something you can definitely check out. So watch this video for a moment, and we'll talk about this. So there are 9 titles, over 250 pages. I mean, you can't beat this. It is already printed. All the books are already printed. They're in a warehouse. We have access to, ready to ship these things out. You're going to be able to get this at $25 for 9 books. That's your entry fee to get this thing. I don't think you're going to find a better deal in indie comics or even maybe mainstream comics like this for a while,
Penny
unless
a
it's Free
page?
Comic Book Day. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's
sorry,
really
it's-
nine introductions to some super great properties.
Yeah, and there will be second issues. If there isn't already second issues, there will be second issues to everything that's coming out here. So you definitely want to get a hold of this. Frog G's popping that link down there,
Yeah.
and so definitely check that out for the long shots. It's great. Now next week I will be going live with hybrids, and so we'll talk about that just a little bit next week, along with whatever guests we may have. But we'll talk about that a little bit. Frog G says it's a good price for any one of those titles. You get all 9. This is a safe bet. It really is. We took the gamble. You don't have to.
Plus, you'll see once you have them in your hands, the quality of the printing on these books are incredibly top notch.
I'm a woman of a certain age, says Nita, and Linda Carter. Yeah, well, yeah, Linda Carter. She's a special person. And we've got Grant Lankard. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Grant. You're kind of coming in towards the end of things here, but I might have one more thing that we can chat about for a few that could be humorous for our guest. And Radiant says, "Fire." So here's what we can do. I'm going to turn up our background music a little bit so we can limit the copyright strike on this one. But so over the course of the last few weeks, I've been looking at different old TV show intros to play before Nerd Bacon starts. Well, I've got the Jeffersons. Growing up, I loved the Jeffersons, okay? I loved Sanford and Son, and I loved All in the Family. And, well, All in the Family, I think, has the opportunity that if it were around today, would probably get canceled in its first 60 seconds. And here's why. Let's just go ahead and watch this, and let's talk about the many ways this song could get canceled today, just for funsies, because when I was listening to it, I kind of got a good laugh out of it.
Boy, the way Glenn Miller played.
Songs that made the hit parade.
Guys like us, we had it made. Those were the days.
And you knew where you were then.
Girls were girls and men were men. Mr. We could use a man like Herbert Hoover again. Didn't need no welfare state.
Everybody pulled his weight.
Gee, our old LaSalle ran great. Those were the days.
Classic. So, as I was listening to that, I was like, guys like us, we have had it made. Okay, that's kind of like Make America Great Again.
Oh,
that
God.
could be tied into, okay, you're a racist. Some people could do that.
Definitely sexist because you say guys like us.
Yeah. Girls were girls and men were men. That would never fly on this particular day in 2022. That's a conversation we just can't have right now. Yeah. As I was listening, I was like, okay, so maybe we don't use that as an intro, but which is also funny though, because that old show and the Jeffersons, they were kind of spin-offs, or they overlapped with one another, and the writer, it had the same writer, same showrunner, and I thought what was cool about it, what was funny about it, actually, I don't want to say cool, what's funny about it was that you had All in the Family, Archie Bunker, kind of a super racist guy, and then you had George Jefferson, also a super racist guy. And they would like take racist pot shops back and forth at each other when they were on the show together, and it made for a great laugh. But today, I think people are just so they're so sensitive that they would never be able to handle that on a show these days. In fact, when I watch like a show like Friends, I think, oh man, that'll never make it. That would never make it today. Or when I watch The Office, I'm like, that definitely would never make it. It just causes too much
emotional damage.
Causes too much emotional damage, with people. I don't think they can handle that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yeah.
It's just, well, it's part of the period, and that's where we run into the line that really. I can understand that maybe society's moved past a lot of those attitudes. That's good. Deists, any of the racists, all that stuff. Because really, I don't care. My job's to love people and try to be awesome. I fail at one, I try to be better at the other. You can decide which is which. But, hey, you get there, Grant. You get there.
Grant says I have a habit of coming late.
Anyway. But
no comments from
I
Grant.
get funny when they sanitize it. You know what I'm saying? Or this is a historical document, and at some point we need to start treating TV and comics and even video games, shock, and movies as valid forms of literature that talk about the period for historians. And I'm nerding out, and I'll take that flag, beat me with it, whatever. But you can't just say that didn't happen or expunge it. I have no problem saying this doesn't fit with modern sensibilities. Okay, it still exists, and it still has value from this is the perspective of what was going on. And
Jody's talking about the Good Times thing being canceled too. It probably would in these days, but I'll tell you what, I still watch that old show. Like it's on my streaming, one of my streaming shows that I'll sit back and watch. Loved Good Times. It's a fun time.
Also a testament as to why these nostalgia TV channels are the rage, and why they get the ratings that they do is that people miss that, despite current feelings or attitudes, people miss that kind of humor, and a lot of people still have a sense of humor where they can laugh at themselves and know that these are jokes.
Yes, and a lot of that was parody that people don't realize. This character was made to parody and express what was wrong, but you can't talk about it without having a point to talk about,
Like Archie and Meathead, here's this hard right conservative with this hard left liberal, and I'm telling you, it made for great and funny TV. It also helped people understand how to deal with those own dynamics in their own family, because we all had them, or have them, and so.
And at the end of the day, they were still family. That's one thing we have desperately lost in this country. Yep. There are things I disagree with people. There are things I disagree with people on this panel, but we can still associate. We can still be friends, and that's why I get funny about the canceling. Now, there are some things that I consider kind of unforgivable. I'm only a man. Like pedophiles, I will never tolerate that. I can't.
No.
But saying something that is off color is bad. But if you apologize, move on. That's how apologies are supposed to work. But there also has to be a statute of limitations. When you come at somebody who said something 20 years ago and it was recorded somewhere, well, you said this and it's horrible. It's like, yeah, it was horrible. It was 20. What is the statute of limitations of screwing up? I mean, that's one of those I'd really like to know at this point.
Yeah.
Because at some point, I'm not the person I was 20 or 30 years ago. 30 years ago, I was a 10-year-old kid. But you get my point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do want to... Norman Lear was actually extremely progressive. Now, that was back when progressive was a good thing. For the time.
For the time. But the cool thing about Norman Lear is that he wasn't beyond explaining his positions either.
Yeah.
I mean, the discussions that Archie and Meathead had were high comedy, but each were expressing their viewpoints.
Yeah. And you got to know him better for that.
You don't get that nowadays, especially on like Facebook.
Yeah. Now, Grant, Grant
and
says
Twitter, where everybody's yelling at each other in short spurts.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about what Grant says here for a second. He goes, right, when white people say that we used to have it made, they don't think about the fact that they had it made at the expense of others. But I would venture to tell you, I would venture to argue the fact that the character Archie Bunker probably didn't feel like he had it made at the expense of anybody. You know, he probably felt like he worked to get where he was because he was poor. And I think that you know, a lot of times we don't realize, like, or we paint with these broad assumptions. And you know, just as playing devil's advocate here, that you know, I grew up in a ghetto, in a part of my life. I grew up homeless for a few years. Mom and Dad, we didn't have a place to live. We lived in a van, you know, and there was those moments that we struggled. And so, being where I am today, you know, I don't personally feel like it was, you know, like I got here based on the back of somebody else's work, other than, you know, maybe somebody that laid the foundation for me to get here, but definitely not at the expense of others. You know, I don't feel that way.
It might not be a matter of, oh gee, I just lost the word. Entitlement, as much as a lack of opportunity.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather and my dad both come up to the shop, and I was raised around here in the Flint, Michigan area, where we had GM plants all over the place, and every family, when you want to look at material possessions, had it made by working hard in the shop. They had the toys, they had the snowmobiles, the ATVs, they had the cabin up north. They had all of those things, which we don't have today.
Yeah.
Because they had the opportunity. They got in the shops, and the shops were hiring anybody off the street back during those days. If you were willing to work, and you were strong and able-bodied, you worked and you made money. And back then the cost of living was low enough that you made excess money. There was a lot of disposable income in this area for an incredibly long period of time, up until at least the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, disposable income is almost a thing of the past now, isn't it?
Or they maintained the same standard of living, but they had a lot of disposable income. So around here, it's not unusual for the last person in the family to pass away and them to find a pole barn in their back 4 acres of their woods that they own, where there's a complete collection of vintage cars, or you know, boxes and long boxes filled with comics. It's not unusual in this area at all, but it's slowly dwindling as more people pass on.
Yeah.
But we still hear about it every once in a while, where there's a tremendous car auction by somebody who came through and retired out of the shop that had 20, 30 cars sitting in a pole barn that they would go out once every couple months and start, that were just classic cars. That's why we have all of the big cruises up here, the Woodward cruise and the Back to the Bricks cruise, where they line the entire and for Back to the Bricks, all of downtown Flint is filled with vintage cars.
Yeah.
All lined up for people to come by and admire it, and to stare at from people that had the money, the excess money, to go out and get the car that they loved, and keep it in pristine condition.
You know, it's for example, I have to do a sleep study Friday night, and my part, after the insurance covers the majority of it, my part is $800.
Yeah.
That has to come out of pocket Friday night for the sleep study, and it's like, that's why people don't take care of their health. You know, that's why they don't go, you know, do stuff like that, because, you know, who has that kind of disposable income?
Yeah.
You know, let alone to go and enjoy movies, buy books, support Kickstarters and Indiegogos, and you know, it's stuff out there. But Jody McPhee says it, and I agree with this. Says today, context doesn't matter. That is the problem. We should understand the context. A joke can be a joke. We can laugh at it. let's laugh at ourselves a little bit. Let's not take ourselves so serious. I think we do too much of that. Grant says, I was okay with All in the Family because it presented both sides of most issues.
Exactly.
And it did it well. It did it with humor, and it did it with class.
But
I
back then,
enjoyed
they also had rules for elections and stuff where you had to run, if you ran so many of one politician's commercials, you had to run so much of somebody else's somebody else's commercials. There had to be a balance back then, and it was watched over and regulated. And all of those regulations are gone now.
Jody also makes another great point here. Says this goes to show how people minimize culture to fit their own means. Archie versus George was classic 70s culture and satire. It made for great social commentary about race relations. Yes, it did. So growing up, I was watching that stuff. So I kind of came from a different perspective with the people that had watched that black, white, doesn't really matter. What matters is whether or not you got money, and I wanted a piece of that pie, that the Jeffersons were getting on the east side. You know what I was talking about? And so, and how did he get there? Hard work, man. He started the dry cleaner that just, turned into a chain, did a great job. And, I did like the interactions between him and Archie, George and Archie, and it got real fun because you could tell that these guys through the series began to respect one another, and were somewhat friends as much as men were allowed to be friends with each other back in those days, I think. But yeah, we've got Krista Crawford. Good morning, Krista. Nice to see you today. Thanks for joining us. So being poor sucks whether you're white or black. In a lot of cases, it's a class problem as opposed to the race issue. And I agree with you. There is a lot of class issues that we don't cover these days.
Well, I think that something needs to be said on that because I'm a bit studied on the subject. I believe that racism is perpetrated to keep us from looking at classes.
Yeah.
And that's why there always has to be somebody who's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Because if we ever stop looking at people horizontally in power, like, well, this is so-and-so's fault. And we realize I have no ability to change it. It's like the folks who get mad at the cashier for the price of stuff at Walmart.
Yeah.
They can't do anything about it either. But they want, the people at the top of the pyramid want us to look at each other hatefully.
Yeah.
They want us divided because instead of buying one pizza and splitting it, we buy two.
Yeah.
And we blame them, and we don't do anything to regulate the oligarchs in power.
We should start using that term more. Oligarchs.
Because there's no difference.
Oligarchs.
They buy congressmen, they buy senators, they buy presidents.
Yeah.
And they buy Supreme Court justices, and they keep the status quo so that,
But even bringing this stuff up, it's critical theory at its core, which is Marxism, and, we can get on that all day long, but we won't, because we've been at this an hour and a half. But yeah, Nick, I agree with you. Grant also agrees with you. And so hopefully we've had a good show today. I think it's been a blast talking. Hopefully the audience has had a blast. We're going to pick one winner today that's going to get the trade paperback copy of the Trash Day volume, first 5 issues of Hybrids. So we're going to make sure that we pass that out today. So before we go, I'm going to pop you up big on the screen, the little juice on your panel. That way you can. Wait a second, I did it myself.
That's what she said.
All right.
Yes,
So
you did.
that way you can tell everyone where to find you and any last thoughts.
You can find me on Facebook under Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Twitter under Randy Zim, though I'm not over there very often because Twitter is a cesspool for negative and bitterness. You can find me next Tuesday on Dispatches from Outside the Box with C. Michael Lanning and Stone Abdullah. Then next Wednesday evening, there will be a Zimcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, all of this is on the Raging 2 networks, so make sure you go over there and check them out. And then also this Sunday morning at 9 a.m., we'll have another edition of Sunday Funnies, where our guest is scheduled to be Roland Mann, Scott Rosema, and probably Glenn Fleming.
Great panel.
Where we talk about the more lighthearted and whimsical side of comics, meant to be a fun and lighthearted show where we talk about our passions and what we love, and that's sequential art. So you can catch us over there, Sunday Funnies, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And other than that, you can catch me right now on the Long Shots campaign. So definitely go over to Indiegogo and take a look at that campaign. It's 9 great books, of which I'm responsible for 2, and my company printed 4 of them, including Luke Stone's Hybrids. It carries the Arrow Comics logo on it. Only Death Can Save Us by the great Russ Leach. My Hero Bot Zero, and then there is Revolt, which is an anthology title by a lot of great, gifted creators, all thrown together into one book. All of these books are 32 pages. All of them are incredibly well printed. Great properties. You can't miss. You're not going to lose out by buying into this campaign. So go take a look at it. Long Shots over at Indiegogo. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
Hi, folks. Nick Tuckert here. Not currently with the Historical Fencing Guild, but I'm so used to using that as my intro, it just sort of rolls. You'll find me first and foremost right here on Thursday mornings with Nerd Bacon and my co-host Luke Stone, which I love to be a part of. I can be found on the Historical Fencing Guild every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we talk swords and shenanigans. It's a good time. My art can be found at deviantart.com/NickT. My books and games are up on Amazon under Nicholas Tuckert. Look that up. And very soon, www.nicholastuckert.com is going to be fully complete, where all my links and goodies will all be in one place where people can find them. I can't wait to see you guys next week. Thank you for a loving, great deep chat. You guys make my Thursday mornings really awesome, and I appreciate it.
My name is Luke Stone. I've been one of your hosts here this morning. You can find me at lukestonestudios.com. That's lukestonestudios.com. Have all the relevant links on there for all the things that you need. I think I do anyway. I think I've updated it. But you can head over there, join the mailing list so you can get updates about all the fun stuff that we're doing. And I've got brand new properties coming out along with brand new hybrids, but also some other new stuff that we've got coming. So looking forward to putting that out there. And please do not forget about the Long Shots. Throw that up here real quick. It is, like Randy said, 7 publishers, 9 books, one great deal. You can start out $25, get you all 9 titles. And Randy, Hero Bot Zero is one of my favorite books in that whole lot, although I like them all. But it is, there's a couple of out loud belly laughs that I had reading that book. It is the fun and whimsy that comics should be. So definitely check out the Long Shots. Link is in the comments and hopefully the description at some point here. Check that out. We will be ending in a week, a little over a week.
Yeah.
The campaign ends. So be sure to check that out. And it has been a fun time hanging out with you guys, as always. The chat, thank you so much. You've been so lively and so involved today. We are nothing without you. You make this show go. So thank you for being the engine that is the Nerd Bacon machine. So we owe it to you, Baconeers. So with that, without further ado, have a good day. Try, if you can, to please leave the wood pile a bit higher than you found it. Do what you can today to choose positivity instead of choosing violence. Choose peace, not violence, even though sometimes violence is necessary. And,
I am the one who knocks.
So sometimes it's necessary. All right. You have a great day, and God bless all of you.
Yay! Think about what you've accomplished.